They are the #1 seed. The path to Miami goes through Santa Clara, lose, and they are the wild card team in the #5 spot and will have to win 3 road games in order to make it to Super Bowl 54. For the Seahawks, a little bit more confusing. If they lose, they'll be the 5 seed. If they win, they could still get the #1 overall seed should the Packers and Saints lose, and they will get a bye should the Packers lose. Otherwise, they'll be playing on wild card weekend. And there is the man who's once again all about that action, boss. He is printed up T-shirts, I'm sure Skittles. He's firing up the promotional wagon. That is all great, but more importantly, can he still carry a team when called upon? And you see a familiar sight. Russell Wilson there in the red jersey, Marshawn Lynch, back-to-back Super Bowls, including 1 victory. So let's make our way out to Renton and our Omar Ruiz, who is with the Seahawks. So we kind of scratched the surface yesterday, Omar, but today you've had a chance to dig in a little bit deeper, specifically with offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer and what he's been saying about the return of Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, we're still wondering how much Marshawn Lynch will be able to provide on Sunday. The Seahawks still figuring what he'll be able to provide. Brian Schottenheimer telling me that it's been a challenge figuring out what they can do with both Marshawn Lynch and Robert Turbin. A lot of trial and error in practice, having patience with those players, getting him up to speed with the language of this offense. Now, obviously, there's a lot of familiarity with Marshawn Lynch with his previous time here in Seattle. Robert Turbin, obviously a former Seahawk as well, and he spent time in Indianapolis with Brian Schottenheimer as a Colt. But there's little nuances of this offense now that they've been working hard to get them up to speed. Some of those, like hand checks, code words that Russell Wilson might use when he's audibling. Those are some of the examples that they're trying to learn this week to make sure that they have their full offensive at their disposal on Sunday against the 49ers.
You mentioned Robert Turbin, Omar, and the Seahawks are one of 4 teams in the league. The other 3 are in the playoffs, San Francisco, Baltimore, Minnesota, that run the ball at least 30 times per game. That leads us to believe that Turbin should have a role, right?
And it's a fascinating story. Robert Turbin was released by the Colts last year, been battling injuries, reached a low point, said he was in a place mentally where he was contemplating life after football, but he gets a text from a friend who helps him put on his football camps in Utah. And that message said that there was a kid who was battling his own health issues, whose motivation for getting better was so he could attend another Robert Turbin football camp. That got Turbin out of his funk. He started working out every day. And even toward the latter part of this year, when he wasn't getting any calls, his trainer said, hey, do you want to scale it back, maybe not work out every day, maybe just a couple times? And Robert Turbin said, no, this is a 17-week season. We're going to continue to work out every day. Gets the call last week to come out and work out for the Seahawks. He packs his bag, not planning on going back to Sacramento where he had been living and working out. Doesn't get signed. He does go back, but he leaves those bags in the car hoping he gets the call this week. He does. He's now a Seahawk, reunited with one of his best friends, Russell Wilson. He was in Wilson's wedding. His former teammates in college with Bobby Wagner. He said it's a dream come true, a dream that obviously would get better with an NFC West championship come Sunday.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if there's a more angry brand of football than they play in Logan, Utah there, or Utah State, those two getting back together out on the field. Great insight and great story surrounding Turbin. We appreciate it, Omar. And with all the attention on the new arrival of Marshawn Lynch, let's cover our Seahawk bases with a Baldy breakdown from the other side of the ball.
Sunday Night Football has the marquee matchup where the 49ers travel to Seattle, and the 49ers with the win can clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs in the #1 seed. And when they see the Seahawks this week, they're going to see a defense that is struggling to get any kind of pass rush. And it was evident last week in their loss to the Arizona Cardinals. Now, watch Kyler Murray, how much time he has here. The Seahawks are simply going to rush 4. No Jadeveon Clowney right here. Nobody gets near Kyler Murray. He makes this throw over the middle of the field, holding it for almost 4 seconds right now. So what Seattle's answer to that was they're going to zone pressure. They're going to bring the inside linebackers here to get after Kyler Murray, and there's a handoff here to Kenyon Drake. And he made him pay here. 80 yards and a touchdown here against that defense. They caught him in a zone blitz, and the running game took off, and Delano Hill took a wrong angle, the free safety, and Kenyon Drake was in the end zone. Now, watch this. This is Brett Hundley. He came in last week for Kyler Murray. But it's the same thing. Look how much time he has. Almost 5 seconds to make this throw to Max Williams here on the outside. It's too much time. And so that's the answer right now, is to zone pressure in the blitz, and they're getting caught right now. Here, Kyler Murray, He's coming in, he feels the pressure, and he sees all of the space to his left side, and he runs away from the pressure. So their answer is to pressure the quarterback with 5 or 6 in zone pressures, and it's really hurting their defense right now. They need Jadeveon and Clowney and others to get after the quarterback this week if they can slow down this 49ers train. And those are just a couple plays from this week's playbook.
Another great breakdown from our man Brian Baldinger, because the number 1 seed is up for grabs in this game should the 49ers win. How about a front office view with Charley Casserly on the San Francisco 49ers offense? Charlie.
George Kittle, put it in capital letters. I'll tell you what, last week was a perfect example. Nothing's going right. Fourth quarter, hey, let's go to Kittle. Let's take a couple of plays in this and we'll make some couple of points as we go. First of all, they're going to line him in different positions. Here, he's lined off the ball. You can't press this guy. They know people want to press him at the line of scrimmage. They're going to try to avoid that. Now, this play we're going to see from the end zone. Kittle's going to be on the left side of the screen. He goes behind the tight end. Great design by Kyle Shanahan for the 100th time, and he hits a wide-open Kittle in a zone defense. They flood the zone. It opened the zone up. Great play there. Now, here's what we're talking about. Fourth quarter. They're in the red zone. They're going to double-team Kittle. He's double-teamed Garoppolo. He's got 3 guys open. No, he stays with Kittle outside the pocket. Kittle comes back to catch the ball. Touchdown. What's the lesson learned here? If you're on defense, if you're going to double him, you better double him for the whole play. They didn't do that. The other thing is, no matter what the situation is, if it's clutch, Garoppolo's going to go to this guy. Hey, you better be ready to defend the guy and get an interception, too. Kittle, capital letters.
Well, if you get the interception, you have to tackle him, Charlie. 17 broken tackles, leads all tight ends in that category. So that's one way to atone for that. All right, Charlie, we appreciate it. And that brings us to what's new right now. We have some breaking news this morning. Not sure how Mickey Loomis feels about it, but Antonio Brown decided to post a photo of the front page of his workout waiver that he signed in order to perhaps join the Saints earlier today. Our Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero reporting on the complications that would arrive should he actually sign with the Saints. We'll get into that a little bit later. Also, Dan Quinn, good news this morning in the holiday season. He and general manager Thomas Dimitroff will, in fact, return in 2020. The Falcons social feed sharing that news in a press conference from Arthur Blank explaining how they arrived at that decision. And Adam Gase was a name that found its way on the coaching hot seat thanks to an early struggle of the Jets season. However, they have won 5 of their last 7, and here's Adam addressing the media.
Yeah, I mean, it was like one of those things. Any more questions?
May I have your attention? Israel? Yep. There's been a fire reported in the building.
The seat, it's too easy. The seat's so hot, the fire alarm went off. Yeah! All right, Tom and Ian, let's get through some of the other. What do you mean, no? It was set up. I had to do it. It's just, all right, fine. Tom, get us started. Some of the coaching candidates out there, as we know, that carousel is going to start spinning.
We've talked plenty about some of the obvious candidates, Mike McCarthy and Ron Rivera. Let's talk about some of those other names, including one that was in the news today. Raheem Morris, Falcons announcing, along with the decisions that would retain Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff, that they're going to name Morris their defensive coordinator effective at the end of this season. Well, Morris has been a head coach before in Tampa. He's coached on both sides of the ball, has connections to one of the 2 jobs that are already opening. He used to be on staff in Washington. Also, former Lions coach Jim Caldwell. Now, he took a leave of absence this season from his full-time job with the Dolphins, but he has told people he's in better health now. He wants back in. Had 4 interviews last year. Expect him to be squarely in the mix. And here's one of my sleepers. Colts defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus. I can't tell you how many times when I'm talking to NFL executives about other coaching candidates that they've brought up, hey, what about Eberflus? He gets his guys playing fast and hard and disciplined, has an excellent reputation within the league. Certainly another name to watch here, Ian.
Look, if you, by the way, before Ian, you get to this, if we're going Eberflus, you're going to have to let our graphics department know, because we need a stinking umlaut over that U, or else I'm going to be stuck saying Eberflus, and you're going to have to correct me every time. All right, Ian, your coaching candidates.
Well, we'll start with a familiar name from the past. Josh McDaniels, the Patriots offensive coordinator, expected to be a hot name this time around. And it does seem like for the right opportunity, I know we've been here before, but for the right opportunity, McDaniels would leave New England, leave Tom Brady, and certainly seems like that sort of reign is coming to an end at some point. and take the job. Obviously, that is going to be a name to watch down the road here. Dennis Allen, the Saints defensive coordinator, another one. He's been under the radar for the last several years, but the former Raiders coach has done an incredible job turning that unit around, and his name is starting to get pretty hot. And then another defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh with the 49ers, one of the most dominant units in the NFL, does not have head coaching experience, but if you've seen him on the sideline, you've seen how players respond to him, that might be someone you would want in your locker room standing up there addressing players.
Yeah, in addition to that, recommended reading we offer up here at NFL Now. For a complete list of all the head coaching candidates, you can check out Tom and Ian's article that is up right now
Yeah, we
at
wrote
NFL. I read it. I read it earlier, as a matter of fact. I found it